Hey, what's up people? Welcome back to the channel, and if you are new, I'd like to say welcome. My name is Jerome and this is Young Enterprising, where I share on certain topics to help you to improve on your well-being. Come on, let's elevate from this struggle of life. Diamond and Bluetooth. What's going on here? The Diamond dog. Hey Blue. Yes, sire. This is the property. Yes, sire. It's coming on, it's coming on. One side of the roof is done. Yes, sire. Bright like a diamond. That's my sit. So I just showed you guys my little office that's been built on this property, and in this video I want to share with you how I was able to buy this property and start building this small office in which I am sitting in the toilet right now. But it's not the toilet as yet. Well, it's the position for the toilet, but no toilet is in it as yet. First of all, this property is worth at this present moment $14 a square foot, and the size of it is about 4,464.7 square foot. So if you can do the math, it's worth about $63,000, pretty much about 62.5 something. And 4,400 square feet, this property is not so big, but for the average Dominicans this can be very expensive. But you know what's interesting? Interestingly, I was offered this property at a cost of $7.50 per square foot, but sadly that was way back in 2015. And back then, at the time, I believe it was worth about $12 per square foot. So you can see right here, right now, that the property is appreciating. And that's the good thing about properties, is that most of them, they appreciate in value. Well, to be honest, it's sort of like a good thing for the people that own the property, but not so much of a good thing for the people that don't own a property and looking to own a property. Because the longer it takes for you to purchase a property of your own, then the more expensive it's going to be for you to actually purchase your own property. And I am talking from personal experience here, because if I knew back then what I know now, when I was offered to get this property at a price of $750, then I would have gotten this property at a much lower price. But instead, what I did, I gave myself excuses as to why I did not need a property at the time, or why I wasn't in need of one. You see, at the time I was not thinking of the future, I was only just thinking of my present needs right now. And that's a normal thing for people to do, especially poor people. You know, not think about their future and only focus on the now. Sometimes we fail to realize how fast the future creeps up on us, and that keeps us backward as poor people. Back in 2015, I met the former owner of this property, and I was working construction at the time. In fact, I was working on this building right next to the property. And during the construction process, the owner would come every now and again to his property to do some cleaning, you know, to cut down some trees, to cut some grass, and maybe to burn a few bush. The smoke would offend a few of the construction workers at the time, you know, and so on. You see, he wasn't the friendliest kind of person and was not so easy to communicate with. But knowing the type of person that I am, knowing how to communicate, knowing how to win friends and influence people, I was one of the only persons on the construction site that actually became friends with the owner of this property. And oftentimes, now and again, we would sit down and have a little chat. We would have a little conversation among ourselves. And you know, after having a few conversations with him on different topics, one day he decided that he wants to offer to sell me this property at a reasonable price of $750 per square feet. And sadly, you know, as I said, I gave myself excuses as to why I did not need this property and why I was not ready to buy any property. So what I did, I refused it. Probably if I knew the actual value of it at the time, I might have jumped on board. You know, like the typical poor people. Whenever they see a discount, that's when they want to spend money. You know, they don't have much money to buy stuff, things they don't need, you know, but they go to town, they see 50% off, 40% off, you know, and they jump on board and they buy, you know, not knowing that they're still spending money. So I have a feeling I might have jumped on board, you know, knowing that it was selling to me as a price that it's not worth. But anyway, moving on, several months later, after this construction was done, I moved into this building, into this apartment, because this apartment is actually where I live. It's a four apartment building, you know, and I live in one of the apartments. And interestingly, the owner was still coming by every now and again and do a little few cleaning and whatever and whatnot. The owner did not reside in Dominica, by the way, but he was there on visit for an extended period of time. And it was nearing his end, and it was time for him to leave. So when the owner was then getting ready to leave the country, well, he approached me and he said, well, seeing that you don't want the property and because you are my only friend, then why not at least see if you can take care of this property for me, you know, just plant a little garden, plant a little cucumbers, plant a little tomatoes, you know, so that the property stays clean as he left it. And I agreed. Because he knew that I had already started my little gardening on another property right on the next side of this building. So he gave me the go-ahead to be able to to do some gardening on the property. And I was happy because you know, I like my little gardening, although I never really got a chance to do any gardening on the property. But it is what it is. Sadly, did I know that it would have been the last time talking to the owner of this property, because it didn't take 3 years after he left that he fell sick and he died. May his soul rest in peace. And it was during that time that my mindset was shifting and changing, you know, and I was looking for several different ways on how I could improve on my life, you know, and to make things better for myself in all ways that I can. You know, it's that time when I started to seek out a lot more private projects, you know, and I started to save a lot more money and to take my finances a little bit more serious. And by November of 2019, I'd already saved up close to $40,000. And it was around that time that the son of the former owner of this property came down to sell the property. And it just so happened that the offer came right back to me, but at a much higher price. I was offered this property at a price of $11.50 per square foot, much more than what his father offered it to me, but however still much cheaper than what it's worth. So immediately I started working on the transaction for this property. You know, I already had the down payment for a loan, so I went right ahead. I took a loan and I bought this property, you know, and by December of 2019, all the transaction to the purchase of this property was complete. And immediately what I did is I started working on cleaning the top section of this property, which is basically where we are right now, and I started working on building this office. And I'm sure it would have been completed already because I was consistent at it up until the corona pandemic came about. And as a result, my production drastically reduced. I'm still progressive, but just much slower. But this is basically how I was able to purchase this property. You know, there's a saying that what is yours already. Because look how it is that I was offered this property in 2019, I refused it, and 4 years later in 2019, I was offered it again and I purchased it. And although I refused it, it came back to me at the right time, you know, when I was able to purchase it. Because, you know, nothing happens by accident, people. Everything happens for a reason, and everything happens on the right time. But needless to say, my advice to you, especially if you're a young person and you have hopes of owning a piece of Dominica in the future, and you have a reasonable job, then my advice to you is try to grab onto it as soon as you can and as fast as you can. Because by the way things are going, very soon the average people are not going to be able to afford land or let alone house. You know, because of the way things are appreciating and how the value is increasing, the poor Malawi in Dominica are not going to be able to afford land or house very soon. Those things appreciate very fast, you know, as a few years going by very fast, and as a few years go by, boop, the prices increase, especially as development takes place, you know. And you know, they're talking about international airport and so many different things that they want to develop. They want to enhance roads. I don't know if those things will ever happen, but you never know. So try to grab onto it now as soon as you can. So seek out the property that you want now, or even if you don't want it but have the opportunity to get it, grab it and take it, because you never know, you might want it in the future. And even if you don't want it in the future, the good thing is that in a few years time it's going to appreciate, and what you paid for it then in the future, it will be worth a lot more. You will definitely be able to get a lot more for it. So that's about it for this video. This is basically how I was able to purchase this property and begin starting to build this small office. So this has been Young and Uprising. My name is Jerome, and to thank you guys for watching. I share on personal development, finance and money related issues, spiritual growth, among other related things. So if those are topics that you're interested in, then feel free to subscribe and click that notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. All in all, and to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Peace out. That's my sexy wife. Look how sweet she looks. Click that thumbs up button. We're on lockdown and there's nothing to do.